Welcome to this first lesson on fractions, and what you're going to learn in this lesson is a way of finding a fraction of something, and what that will do for you is to help you really understand what the numbers in a fraction mean. And this is the lesson that I give students who come to me for tutoring, students who really struggle with fractions. And this lesson really helps them to understand what the numbers in the fraction mean. So that's what this lesson will do for you. So we'll start with example 1. And how do you find 1/2 of this rectangle? The 2 is telling you to divide the rectangle into 2 equal parts, and putting a line down the middle like that, there are the 2 equal parts. And the top number, the 1, is telling you to shade in one of those parts. Now, each part is 1/2 of the rectangle, so it doesn't really matter which part I shade in, but I'm going to shade in this one because it's closest to the fraction 1/2, and point to it like that. And there's 1/2 of the rectangle, or one part out of 2 equal parts. In example 2, how do you find 1/2 of these 6 coins? Again, the 2 is telling you to divide the coins into 2 equal groups this time, not parts, groups. And to do that, I would have to put 3 coins in each group like that. And so now I've got 2 equal groups, and equal because there are 3 coins in each group. And the 1's telling me I need to shade in one of those groups, not one of the coins, but one of the groups. So this is one group out of 2 equal groups. So pointing to this group and shading in the coins in that group, something like this. And that's showing clearly that that group is the 1/2 of the coins, so one group out of 2 equal groups. And again, this group here is also 1/2 of the coins. And if I asked you to give me 1/2 of the coins, you would give me 3 of the coins. In other words, one of the groups of coins. How do you find 1/3 of this rectangle? The 3 is telling you to divide it into 3 equal parts this time, and that's what the number on the bottom always tells you, how many equal parts or groups to divide the thing into. So there's my 3 equal parts, and the 1 is telling me to shade in one of those parts. And again, I'm going to shade the one that's closest to the fraction 1/3. So I've colored in one part out of 3 equal parts, or 1/3 of the rectangle. Example 4, how do you find 1/4 of these 8 circles? And the 4 is telling me to divide the circles into 4 equal groups. So that would mean I would have to put 2 circles in each group like that. And the top number, so there's my 4 equal groups, and the top number is telling me that I need to shade in one of those groups. So I'm going to shade this one here, and I have shaded in one group out of 4 equal groups, or 1/4 of the coins. Now, the 2 examples I'm going to show you are questions similar to what you're going to find on the exercise. So there'll be questions like these two. How do you find 1/2 of an apple? And how do you find 1/3 of 9 apples? And the way I want you to do these questions is like this. I want you to use these same green words. So you're going to divide, in this case, the apple. So divide the apple into so many equal parts or groups. And because it's a whole thing, you're going to divide it into parts, so equal parts. And each part is this fraction 1/2 of the apple. So I'll fill those words in for you now. So once again, divide the apple into 2 equal parts. Each part is 1/2 of the apple. Here's the apple, and I'm going to divide it into 2 equal parts. So a line down the middle, roughly down the middle, and I'm going to shade in one of those parts and point to it with the fraction 1/2 like that. And that's how I want you to do your diagram, something like that. Diagram split into the right number of parts, colored in the right amount of parts, and have the fraction pointing to that bit you've colored in. And so that's how you do the ones where you are finding a fraction of a whole thing. When you're finding a fraction of a group of things like 9 apples, you're going to divide them into groups, equal groups. So the sentences for this question, how do you find 1/3 of 9 apples, goes like this. So you're going to divide the apples into, and again, the fraction or the number of parts or groups comes from this fraction, and it's always the bottom number in the fraction. So here's 1/3, 1/3. So it's the 3 that's telling you 3 equal groups, and then each group is the fraction 1/3 of the apples. So I'll fill those words in for you now like that. So divide the apples into 3 equal groups. Each group is 1/3 of the apples. And so now I'm going to divide these apples into 3 equal groups like that. And so there are the 3 equal groups, 3 apples in each group. And because I want 1/3 of the apples, or one group out of 3 groups, I'm going to shade the apples in this group here and point to that group. So there's my 1/3 of the apples. Okay, so what I want you to do now is copy examples 5 and 6 from this video, and you can copy the other 4 examples if you want to as well. Then download the exercise that's just beneath the video and make sure you do your answers the same way I've done example 5 and 6 by using the same green words and then filling in the gaps. By writing your answers this way for each question, you'll find it easier to remember how to write the 2 sentences. And the reason I'm emphasizing this is because when my students learn how to do this exercise for the first time, they tend to change the sentences and they struggle with the questions as they get harder. And I keep encouraging them to do them this way, and eventually they do realize it is the easiest way to do them. And they find that they remember the 2 sentences more easily by doing them the same way, by using the same green words that I've used here and then filling in the gaps. And I want you to make sure you do the same, because when you do things in math the same way, there's less to remember and you remember how to do those things more easily. And the easiest part of the exercise is writing the green words. You only have to make sure they're the same. And the hardest part is working out the right words and numbers that go in the gaps, and also figuring out how many things need to go in each group when you draw your diagrams. The key here is to make sure you get the 2 sentences correct to start with, and then you can read them and then make sure that your diagram agrees with what you've written in your sentences. So download the exercise, have a go, correct your answers, then leave a comment and let me know if this lesson has helped you at all, or you can ask me a question as well. And that's about it for this lesson, and I'll see you in the next one.